Hi, can you listen to me?
Yes, Potter. Good morning.
I was on mute, sorry.
Oh, okay. No problem.
So we'll get started. Uh, Before we get into the OM templates, yesterday we were not able to see the Kubernetes dashboard, right? Okay. So let me log into portal.azure.com. There is a reason for that. It's not any issue from our side. So our Kubernetes is Purna AKS, and the version is the version we are using is 1.14.8. Okay, so how we are trying to open our Kubernetes dashboard? So we used a couple of commands, right? This is the latest version. I think they released it a couple of weeks ago. It was not there in the last month as well. So we basically use AZ AKS get credentials space G, our resource group name space, and then -n and our because we are opening the dashboard from the command prompt, so we need to first get the credentials of our cluster, so we get it, and then we will use a command to browse our dashboard. AJAKS browse, again you need to give the resource group name and then cluster name Pune AKS. The only difference, earlier we were using get credentials, now we are using browse. When you do this, it will open a window. So this is, instead of a UI, it is showing some JSON output here. Guys, I explored this issue, and this issue is not related to our commands or something. This is related to the 1.14.18 version, and I see already many people raised an issue with the Microsoft Azure support as well. Okay, so I think it is released a couple of weeks ago. So last month we used it, there was no issue. So guys, when you are using when you are creating your own cluster, right, instead of creating let's go, instead of using 1.14.88, which is the latest version, we can go ahead and use uh, the previous version, and you follow the rest of the other things as is. There is no difference. Okay, so we create a group, and when you're selecting the cluster version, right, you will, so 1.14.8 Kubernetes version, don't take it, take the older one, 1.14.7. okay, take that one, and other ones are preview. Whatever is preview, don't take it because they are not stable. Go ahead and take the 1.14.7. okay, I already seen the issues raised with the Microsoft. Okay, so we can't do anything about it. So if they released any issue, then I will let you know, but I don't think it will be immediate. So what I suggest you, when you're creating a cluster, instead of 1.14.8, take the older version, little older one version big. Okay, so that's the issue that we seen yesterday. Only the dashboard is not working, rest everything is working because we already seen the API as well. Okay, today let's get into templates.
So is it a Docker file which shows weather forecasting information, or ASP.NET welcome page? Yesterday,
no.
So we created a Docker file.
I didn't get you. This, no, the one what I shown you. When I open the Kubernetes dashboard, I should be seeing a UI with all the different options to see my pods, to see my services, etc. Since the dashboard was not available, what I did, I went to my PowerShell and tried to use all the commands like kubectl, get pods, etc. So if I'm having UI, I don't need to use all these commands. I can straight away see from the dashboard. Okay, but that dashboard is having issue from the cloud vendor itself, not from us. Okay, and many people already raised this issue. This is the latest version. Okay, so I suggest you go with the little previous version to create your cluster. Okay, instead of 1.14.8, you use other version.
Okay, but I got it. The thing is, we have written one Docker file instructions. No, that is Docker file instructions will create a Docker image, and that is for showing weather forecasting information. Is it right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Okay. After that.
Okay.
Okay, so what I'm saying, there is no issue with the Kubernetes background environment. It's the only issue with the dashboard. That's from the vendor itself. So your applications will continue to work well. There is no issue with execution, etc. But you will not be having the visual interpretation of your services. You can still go ahead and use the command line. So that's what we used yesterday. But so UI is what important, right, for anyone. Of course, they fix it, but don't know. So let's go and use the older version. Okay. So the next one talking about is ARM templates. Okay. So as I told you, ARM templates is for the infrastructure as code feature. Means so you are doing the automated builds and deployments. I would say application DevOps for your applications. Okay, and ARM templates is for the automation of your Azure cloud resources management. That means I have created a virtual machine. Okay, how I did, I went to the portal and I used the wizard and then given name and then click next and configure some properties, and I created a virtual machine. Okay, so likewise you create any resource in the same way from the portal, or some people can create these resources from the command line prompt as well, Azure CLI as well. Okay, it's up to the individual, their comfort. So the other way to do is automated way of creating your infrastructure resources. Okay, so Azure ARM templates, Azure Resource Manager templates is exclusive for the Azure cloud. Okay, so using these templates, you can create or you can manage any cloud resource. When I say cloud resource, it can be a network, it can be a machine, it can be a storage, it can be your app service, it can be anything that is running from your Azure cloud. It can be managed by your templates, okay, in an automated way. Why do you need it? There are some underlying concepts that I will be explaining in the further slides. Let's look at the fundamentals. Okay, as I told you, Azure ARM templates is to automate the provisioning of the cloud resources, and you cannot create some AWS cloud or GCP cloud using ARM templates, because this is exclusively for the Microsoft Azure cloud created by the Microsoft Azure. Okay, there is another software called Terraform or Ansible. Some other products are there. Terraform is exclusively for the cloud vendors. If you are using Terraform, you can create resources either in GCP or AWS or Azure without having any issues, because the Terraform is from a third-party vendor. Okay, ARM template is from the Microsoft. Okay, so we automate the infrastructure creation using ARM templates. But how we do it? We use the templates. You call them as Azure Resource Manager templates. Of course, you also need to know why. The first thing, consistent design. That means, let us say you are having, so in the demo classes we talked about, one of the reasons why people are running behind DevOps is infrastructure inconsistency as well. That means when you deploy your code in our dev environment, it works. When you deploy it in the production queue environment, it will not work. The reason, most of the times, it is not the problem with the code, it is the problem with your with the server configuration. Okay, so your dev environment might be using some Windows Server 2012. Your production, your queue environment might be using some Windows Server 2019. So there might be some OS related changes to be done. Okay, why these are all happening? Because different servers are created by different people and given to the development teams or QA teams. Okay, when they are created by different people, obviously they go ahead and create in their own way. One person may create 2016 server, another person created 2019, another person created 2014. There is, even the people tell you in the email that I need this server with this configuration, still they do the mistakes because this is a human intervention. I mean, there is always possibility for the mistake. And it's not only about the OS configuration, it's also about the size of the server as well. People ask for a 16 GB RAM, but infrastructure guys gives you 8 GB RAM. Why? This is not intentional most of the times. It is most of the times it's a lack of time to look at the details that are given. And also design means network design. So what servers to be in the, in what virtual network, what servers to be exposed to the internet, what servers not to be exposed to the internet. So these are all the design related stuff. If you are doing it manually, people cannot follow the design given by the infrastructure architect properly. If this is using automation, that the automation will be done as per the design given by the infrastructure architect or data center architect. This is one advantage. The other advantage, governance. Let us say if people are creating machines or any other resource manually, uh, basically they need to give only 8 GB RAM, but by mistake they may give a 16 GB RAM. So what is happening? Your company is incurring more cost. And let us say your server needs to open only port 80 for the external world, but by mistake your infrastructure guy open all the ports on the server. Then what is the result? Some security vulnerabilities will come into picture. So you cannot, this is about governance. If you do it automatically, then you are doing it using some script. So that script is being reviewed by someone. So you can enforce the governments like this. And so now you managed, you created and you enforce the security, etc. But whenever you, I mean, let us say your servers, let us say in the dev environment, your servers are being used only in the working hours, let us say from 10 to 7 or 8. But those won't be used in the night time, right? But still your servers are running. Means your companies are running with more cost. So if it is a manual, people need to spend every day additional time. That's why they don't delete the machines. They keep it running all the time. Because of that, your infrastructure cost is increasing on the cloud. So if you are using automated scripts, of course, when you have a script to create the environment, obviously you can create the script to dispose the environment. That means to delete the environment. So what happens now? People can schedule the scripts. Okay, at 7 o'clock, delete the environment, and they schedule another script to create the environment. So let us say they trigger the script at 8 o'clock. In 20-30 minutes, all the infrastructure will be created. By the time developer teams come into office, the environments are ready without any issues. So that is another environment. Because another one is time to market. So let us say people take weeks and weeks to create a production environment, a dev environment, because they have to follow manual things. They have to look at all these security configurations or OS configurations, etc. If it is already designed and is available as a script, they just need to go and run the scripts. This is one-time effort. Okay, and finally compliance. Of course, you are applying all your security things and then sizing things, everything in the script, then you will be adhered to any compliance requirements from the company. What are the scenarios for using this infrastructure as code way of working or automated way of creation of your infrastructure resource? One scenario is, right now, if you see, most of the people are migrating from on-premise to Azure cloud. That means they might be having applications running from their data centers, but because of the cost issues or to reduce the workflows, they are moving to the cloud. So this, you have the application migration happening. So in those cases, In those cases, you can implement this infrastructure as code using ARM templates if it is Azure Cloud, so that you are deploying your applications using DevOps and you are creating your infrastructure using infrastructure as code DevOps. This is one scenario. The other scenario, you might be there will be some bigger clients where they will be having hundreds of servers and firewall rules and network rules to be implemented, and they might have a tons of teams using Azure Cloud. For those people, they cannot go and do this environment creation on the cloud manually, because you whatever the advantages we seen earlier, all these things will not be available to them. So they will go with this infrastructure as code. But this is with the bigger clients where they are spending millions of dollars. Okay, these are the scenarios for infrastructure as code. So what are the advantages of using ARM templates? So ARM templates declarative syntax means you don't need to write code like a C# .NET code or a Python or Perl code. These are simple commands and simple JSON script. And then these scripts, right, you need to just create once and use it multiple times. Okay, that means you create one script and then you can execute that script for the production environment or a QA environment or the dev environment. So by simply changing the machine names and the IP addresses, you make them variables or parameters, and you can execute it how many number of times you want it. Okay, and then orchestration is nothing but what to be created first. Let us say you want to create a web server in your production environment. What is the first thing you need to do? First, you need to create some virtual network and apply some firewall rules, etc. And then you go and create a virtual machine, and you put that virtual machine in that network with some IP addresses. So this is a sequence of activities, right? If it is a manual, people can go and do it parallel as well, but that may not give some conflicts, or that may give some conflicts, or may not be effective. If it is automated, you can orchestrate them. You can make it sequence or parallel based on your. And validation, of course, the way your Visual Studio or Eclipse validate the code when you compile the code, you have the similar thing, similar validation in the Azure ARM templates as well. Whether your script is proper or it is as per the subscription levels that you have everything. Modularity, can manage your scripts like this. Okay, these scripts are related to the dev, these scripts are related to QA, etc. You can make it modularized for better maintenance. Another thing, you can manage any resource in the Azure cloud. That's what it is. Trackable deployment, since this is a script, you can keep it in some version control management, and you can track the changes, and you can use them as a blueprints. That means for my team, I created a script to create the dev environment, and I kept it in the SCM. If some other team wants to create a dev environment, they can go and use that script. So in this way, everybody is following the same design for their dev environment creation. That means you are enforcing the consistency, and you are reusing the uh, uh, script that you already created. Okay, and of course you can also integrate it with your pipeline for infrastructure as a code or infrastructure. These are all the advantages. So why I kept this ARM templates to the end of the session? The one thing is this is related to the infrastructure people. The other thing is if you need to work on the ARM templates, you need to know a couple of things. That is, you need to have the Azure cloud administration experience, because this is related to the infrastructure, not related to the application build and deployments. So I will tell you why you need experience in Azure cloud administration. Okay, uh, of course your ARM templates use PowerShell. That's the reason we covered PowerShell in the previous sessions. So the people, whoever is working on this infrastructure as a code or infrastructure automation activities, they need to have a experience or at least exposure to these areas: networking, server administration, antivirus, anti-spam related to the security, storages, and the PaaS services, and NATing, etc. These are all related to the networking concepts, and how you combine different data centers, etc. You need to have at least experience in one of the areas and exposure to other areas. And of course, finally, you need to know how the ARM templates will be created. That means the way you learned syntax, right? While you are learning PowerShell, we learned variable declaration and commands execution, and then parameters, and how you authorize your scripts and how you configure them as part of your pipelines. You learned all that stuff. In the same way, you need to learn ARM template as well. Okay. So these are the prerequisites to work on the ARM templates. The most important thing is cloud administration experience, and as well as experience to or exposure to infrastructure concepts. I will show you in action why these are important. Okay. Okay. What is it? So to create a PowerShell script, we already seen, okay, you have variable declaration, you have the for loops, if conditions, etc. And you can write your logic using your data types and commands available. Okay. In the same way, ARM templates is also having some structure. So one section, it is a resources. That means it's all about resource information. If you are creating a virtual machine, it's all about virtual machine information. You are creating a PaaS service, let us say some app service, is the information about that. Parameters. As I told you, you create a script one time. That means you create a script for virtual machine. Okay, and then you can use that to create n number of virtual machines, but you give the virtual machine name at runtime, because different virtual machines will have different names. Okay, so you need parameters, and there will be some functions available, variables and tags, and you can use some parameters. Okay, these are all the things that you need to know to work on the templates. We will see them. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and uh, work on some sample ARM template. Guys, as I told you, this is a fundamental session. Infrastructure as code is a separate activity, and you need in-depth experience, or at least a good amount of experience in infrastructure areas. So first, let me go ahead and create one app service, and show that by correlating with your ARM template. So what is an app service? Let's go to, just guys, give me a second. Okay, so app services is one of the features that are available in your Azure cloud. Of course, these are available in AWS and GCP as well. So what are the purposes of these app services? So far, we've been deploying your applications to some servers, right? Virtual machines where you have IaaS and you do some configuration on the IaaS or the operating system. And we also deployed our application to the Docker, which is running from the Kubernetes environment. There is another way to deploy your applications, that is app service. That means when you are using app service, you don't need to maintain your virtual machines. You don't create your virtual machine. Okay, so this is almost like using your Azure DevOps. Right now you are using Azure DevOps, right? You did not install this software on any one of virtual machines or any one of your servers. You straight away logging into the dev.azure.com with your credentials, and you started doing the DevOps for your application. In the same way, when you are using app services to deploy your applications, all you need is just go and create an app service, and then mention whether this app service is for a .NET application. If it is .NET, what is the version or .NET framework to be used, or what is the machine to be used. We will give all that information. After that, we will simply use that app service in our build pipeline. That means once you, sorry, the release pipeline. Once we build the code, we simply deploy that to PaaS service instead of using hosted agents or self-hosted agents or Microsoft hosted agents or deployment groups. We simply use the PaaS service connection. The way we used AKS connection as part of our Docker deployment, in the same way we use app service. We authorize our release pipeline to connect to the app service. Let's go ahead and create an app service. So my requirement is, I want to have an environment to go and run my Java application. Means I will deploy my Java application, and so that the users or some other applications can go ahead and use that Java application. Okay, let's go and create an app service for that one. This is related to the Azure Cloud Administration. Basically, this will be created by the cloud administrator and will be given to the DevOps engineer to deploy their applications. But anyways, I'm just covering the fundamentals of ARM templates. I just want to create this PaaS service in front of you from the portal, and we can create the same thing from the ARM template as well. Okay. Now, when we are creating a PaaS service, and this is for a web app creation, a web app deployment. So of course, you need to select the demo group, resource group. My resource group name is demo group, and then you have to give the name for your PaaS service. I would say Java demo app service. You can give any name. Okay, and this is the URL. Basically, Java demo app service.azurewebsites.net will be the URL of your application. And now, what is the next thing you need to mention? Are you using your simple, your regular code to deploy your application, or are you using a Docker container? I'm saying I will be using code only. That means the way we are using our .NET code in the repos and deploy them to the virtual machine. So I will use code. Okay, and then you need to select the runtime stack. Okay, if you are using .NET, what is the version of .NET? ASP.NET 4.7 or 3.5? If it is .NET Core, what is the version? In the same way, I just want to demonstrate some Java application, and that Java application will be using Tomcat 8.5 as a web server. I just simply select the web server. Okay, and then after that, you need to select the operating system. You want to deploy this, you want to have some Windows machine or Linux machine. Okay, Linux machine. And of course, you need to give the region. In which region you want to have this machine? I say Central US. That's okay. Okay, and then you know the size of the machines that can be used. Okay, let it be the standard size here. And there is some plan here. Let it be like that. And next, monitoring. Okay, I said okay. Demonstration. I'm not enabling the monitoring. Say no. And then tags. You can give some name. It is just for our identification purpose, these tags. Okay, that's it. Review and create. First it will review if our since whether we are having permissions to create these resources. The template is not valid according to the validation procedure. See for more details what is this. Let me see it. Go to the previous thing. It is giving me some option, some error. I need to go to the previous. I click done and then create. Previous. Mistake I did. This is correct name, and then let me select some other. Since we are using free, there might be some restrictions. Okay, monitoring, review and create. Okay, validation is successful now. Let's go and create. I think it's related to the location. I selected Central US. Probably I do not have a permission for my free subscription. Might not have permission to create app service in that location. Okay, so this is how you create a PaaS service or any virtual machine, right? You will go ahead and select a number of options from the drop downs, or you give some data in the text boxes like names, etc. So these are all easy to use, right? Next, and give the options. Of course, if something is not correct, it is obviously giving you the error information. You can go and correct them to create your resources. Okay. Now, if you want to do it in an automated way, you need to know, you need to configure all these things in your scripts. Since it is a wizard, even though you don't have any experience or exposure to your infrastructure, you will be able to simply create it. But if you are doing it in automated fashion, you will not have any wizard to create it, right? All you need to do is you need to go and create your scripts in sequence using all these uh, options. Of course, let us say the location here, it is right now West Central US. This is a user friendly name, right, that we are using from the drop down. But in the background it will be having some underlying code. It will not be a user friendly name, it will be having some code internally. When you are doing it in automated way, you if you use this user friendly name, it will not work. You need to use the relevant code which is in the background. So for that, again, you need to know many commands, or you need to know all the administrator actions to understand what is the relevant code for the location, what is the relevant code for the app service plan, and what is the relevant code to give a tax, etc. All these things you need to know. Without having Azure cloud administration experience, you will not be able to create. Of course, you need to learn and do it. And without having experience or exposure to your infrastructure items like networking, server administration, etc., it will be a hell experience for you, and you will be burdened like anything. Okay, you need to go by your skill set as well. Okay, now I created an app service, right? Let's go to our overview button. Okay, I have some URL automatically created for me. You click this one. So I got some home page. So this is like when you create when you install IIS, when you browse it, you will get the local host, right? In the same way, you get this home page. That means your app service is up and running. The next thing is you have to go and deploy it. Okay. So this is a manual way of creating your app service. In the similar way, you create a virtual machine as well by giving a different information. Okay. Now, how do you create it automatically using ORM template? Okay, guys, I'm not going to create it from scratch. I'm going to use built-in templates because to reduce my time, but I will be explaining all the template so that you will be having comfort. How do you create a ORM template project? You go to the Visual Studio, create a new project, and there will be a project type called Azure Resource Group. If you don't find it here, you can simply uh, search here. So Azure Resource Group, you will have both C# and Visual Basic. Don't worry, it's not we are not going to use any C# here. Okay, so you select the Azure Resource Group, next, and then give some name. You can give any name, just like creating any other project. The beauty about Visual Studio is the way we are having templates for new project creation for a MVC project or VBA. You have the templates for your ORM templates project as well. So I'm not going to select any one of these complex because it will incur a lot cost for me, scale set, etc. So I'm just going to create. We created just now app service, right? I will select the same app service so that we can relate. So let me Windows machine creation, machine with load balancer, logic app, web app. So I will select this web app, which is an app service. Okay. Just say okay. It's creating. Let's give it a minute. Okay. Project successful. Okay. Now, if you look at this project, we have three different things. One is a PowerShell scripts. Deploy Azure Resource Group.ps1. PS1 is nothing but your PowerShell script. So you have a lot of script already generated for you because you selected a template to create a PaaS service. We have a lot script generated for you already. Okay, and this script will be using these files, website.json and website parameters.json. Parameters is nothing but to give your values at runtime. Okay, you define the parameter name here, and then website.json, it contains uh, all the information that is to be provided to create your PaaS service. That means when you are creating your app service from the portal, what you are doing is simply following the wizard, right? You followed the wizard and you selected the resource group name, you given the name, and you selected the size of your app service and code, and then container or code and the runtime stack, Tomcat or .NET, etc. You need to give all those options here as well. Okay, and that is what here. So in just so you have these sections: parameters, variables, resources. Okay, so parameters contains uh, uh, these are the minimum parameters, like what is the size of your app service. That's what I mean. We selected some size from the browser, but internally it will be using these SKUs. You call it as SKUs, the sizes, and then description for your PaaS service and what is the capacity. So you can see it. This is underlying data that you need to do. Whether I need to have one instance or two instances of my PaaS service, etc. These are the minimum required information to create your PaaS service. Okay, and you will provide this information at runtime. And variables, of course, you will be using some. You are using the PowerShell script here, right? When this PowerShell script is executed, it gets the names. Let us say the resource group right name, as of now it is a default to the name of my project, but there is no such a resource group name, right? Okay, so we will supply this information at runtime. Okay, I will show you how to use that. Okay, and then resources. So what is the resource we are creating? We are creating a app service resource, and it is showing it already created a lot of information for you. This is ready to use. So we are giving hosted plan, SKU names, and some variables which contains website name, etc., and then parameters. There is a hell lot of JSON script that is created for you using this template, and it also contains some properties, the your app service properties. Okay, what is the CPU percentage threshold? Let us say you want to keep 80% as a threshold. That means if something goes, if your CPU utilization is more than 80%, then trigger some alert, etc. Okay, you have all those things created for you, and you see the location right now. This is pointed to the east US. Okay, because this is a sample template that we have. Of course, when I created my app service using template, when I selected east US, it gave me an issue saying that you cannot create it because of some permission issues, because I'm using a free subscription. Okay, now all you need to do is, as you see, you need to do it on your own, all these things. And imagine this is just for your app service creation. But when you are creating an environment like a dev environment or a queue environment, it will be a combination of your virtual machines, and that virtual machines contain some configuration, IAS settings, etc. And then it will be a part of your some virtual network or sub network, and then that contains some firewall settings. So this should be as per the design, but this is very simple PaaS service creation using ARM templates. Now, if you want to deploy this one from Visual Studio, all you need to do is right click. Of course, you have the validate. It will validate if your template is valid or not, because there will be a chances for mistakes, right, in terms of syntax or whatever it is. Guys, since my Visual Studio is already connected with my Azure DevOps account, Husser 86, it populated me, and then the subscription is already taken because my account is already authenticated. You know that. And then the demo group is my resource group is demo group. And then the templates website.json is already populated here. And then parameter file, you need to edit the parameters now. What is our posting plan? When we created app service, we given some name. Let's give some name. Purna app demo. You can give anything. What is the SKU? This is the SKUs are the identifiers for the services in cloud, and you have the similar concept in any e-commerce or anywhere. So I will say F1 SKU and capacity is 1. These are the parameters I am sending it to my script at runtime. Let's go and save it and then validate. So it is saying template is invalid. Template is invalid. It is saying is not valid according to the validation. See errors for more information. The requested app service plan cannot be created in the resource group. It is hosting Linux apps. Please choose a different resource group or create a new one. So it is saying it is some problem with the Linux apps. It is hosting some Linux apps or something. You need to go and change this stuff. First, you need to know where you need to change it. Let me see Linux. So these are the restrictions on my resource group. So I'm just trying to figure out where these are exactly. What I do probably might be problem with my, I may not have required permissions, I would say availability of resources for my free subscription. Let me go and delete this Java demo app service. Yeah, so if I have to delete it, will ask for the name. So I'm just going and deleting this plan. So now you understand why you need Azure Cloud Administration experience in order to work on the ARM templates, because you need to know all these different concepts of your Azure Cloud. Resource has been deleted. Okay, been deleted. Let me go and double check it. If I open this, it should give me error. Yeah, this was not. Okay, now let me go ahead and deploy my ARM template. Go and select demo group. So now it is saying template is valid. And you see all the options that we given: storage account name, demo group name, location, West Central US, and it is using templates like website JSON. So it will take some time to create it. So guys, basically, first you need to learn Azure Cloud Administration in depth. It's not just about going to the portal and creating services from the portal using wizard. You also need to know the underlying concepts as well. Okay, so what are these subnets? How do you distribute IP addresses? How do you the concepts for virtual networks, etc. Because production environments are completely highly secure. You cannot simply go and create some resources and keep it in some network or subnet. Okay. Let me see, create deployment. Is it done? Oh, okay, completed. Successfully deployed template website.json to resource group demo. Okay, now let's go and let's go to home. Okay, go to app services. Okay, we did not, so the app service is created. We did not give the name explicitly. That's why it created a name dynamically. So website, this is the PaaS service that's got created automatically using your home template. This app service plan name is given Puna app, Puna app. We selected F1 as a SKU and free subscription, etc. If you go and open this URL, so this is a
No, no,
home
what
page of
happened to the
it.
previous one?
Yeah.
What happened to the previous one? I mean, earlier we have created with the normal one, right?
I deleted because I'm using the free subscription, right? It gave me an error.
Okay, okay.
I don't
Okay.
have the because when you're using free subscription, you can create let us say 1 or 2 virtual machines in each location. That's the reason when I created other virtual machines for our demonstration, some are in central US location, some are in West Central, some are in some other location, because it gives you some constraint, right? So I deleted and then I ran the template again, and this time it is able to
Okay.
create.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. In the similar way, so okay, and this is a very simple one, man. This is not a productionized as well. So let us say when you create some virtual machine, what you have, what the minimum things that you need to know is, so what IP address you need to give to the virtual machine, right? So when I create a virtual machine from the portal for the demonstration, I'm not giving any IP address manually, and that IP address got generated dynamically by the Azure cloud. But in reality, I mean, when you are working with uh, production environments in infrastructure as code, even the IP addresses can be given manually. So that you will keep it as part of parameters. Okay. So people give the design like this. Basically, this is a role of infrastructure architect. They will say simply, hey, is let us say you are creating a environment for a production environment. They will say this is a DMG zone, and this is a network for the databases. This is a network for the APIs, and you keep some database server here, and then you keep your web servers, API servers here where you deployed your APIs, and then all the front end applications to be deployed to the DMG zone here. And then they say simply, hey, open, they say open only, if it is a SQL server, open port 1433, and then between your front end servers and then your API servers, you open port only HTTP, and they would say your servers is having some more storage. and this storage might be some. So in cloud, you have a number of options to create servers. It can be some LRS, etc. So like this, the infrastructure architects will give the design like this, and all the people like server administrators, network administrators, etc., they will go and take this design and implement it in their data centers, okay, if it is manual. And even if it is on the cloud also, if they don't have this infrastructure as code using ARM templates or Ansible or Chef or Puppet, they will go and take this design, they go and create it manually, all these resources manually, using the guidelines given in the infrastructure architecture. But when it is a automated way of creating the infrastructure, and if it is using ARM templates, then you have to go and implement this design using your ARM templates, basically from your Visual Studio resource group project. Then it will not be simply like 3 or 4 files. Then you might be having a number of folders, okay, and then let us say VNet, and then you will go and create your you will go and add your files. So you can go and create a JSON file and keep your network related configuration here. So likewise, your ARM template resource group manager template will have a n number of items here, okay. So for that, before you do that, you need to have Azure cloud administrator experience and in-depth experience or exposure to all the underlying concepts. Without that, you will not be able to do it. And now we done this from the where you done it from the Visual Studio, right? Now you can push to the Azure repos, and from the build pipeline you can select a empty project and create a and use a task, Azure Resource Group Manager task, to deploy this project. Or since it is having a PowerShell script, uh, it is having PowerShell script, right? You can use our PowerShell script task what we used in our previous classes to run this PowerShell script. Or you can deploy this entire code to some virtual machine and run the script from that virtual machine using your Azure PowerShell script from the release pipeline. There are a number of ways that you can do it. This is just like another project, but the entry point for this is your PowerShell script. Okay, that's the reason I kept it to the end of this one. Now you can go and read this PowerShell script. You will understand and how to. I mean, you will understand and you will realize what's the complexity in this one. So if you are using Ansible, you use some playbooks. If you are using Chef, you use some cookbooks. They use Ruby on Rails and then AML, etc. Different platforms use different of technologies. Here we use JSON and PowerShell. Yes, this is a very fundamental session to your ARM templates. If you are interested in the infrastructure area, and especially if you are working for any bigger clients, and if you think that you have a scope for creating environments in a larger scale, and you are interested in the infrastructure area, then please go ahead and learn the tools like at least a minimum 2 tools like one Terraform, another one Ansible or Chef or Puppet, either one of these. Because with one tool you cannot survive in the infrastructure area, because infrastructure area contains hybrid things. Your cloud, your physical data centers, and different cloud providers. You need to work with all of them in the production end. So with that, I would like to stop this. I mean, close this introduction to the ARM template session. A huge concept which takes minimum 2-3 months, 2 months, I would say, provided you are having experience in cloud administration and as well as
Purna, yesterday we were discussing about that artifacts, right? Azure artifacts.
Azure artifacts.
Hello.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah, I
yes,
have a
please.
question regarding that. See, let's say we are uploading the artifacts to the Azure Artifactory server. Is there any limit based on the subscription, or do we need to create any separate storage for that to maintain
No,
those
no.
artifacts?
You don't need to
Or is there
create any
any?
storage. The moment you
Okay.
created the feed, right? The moment you created the feed, underlying it is
Mm-hmm.
already created. It's required storage. You don't need to do
Okay.
anything. Okay. And the
Okay.
limits, of course, it is basically the companies will be using enterprise. Subscriptions. Okay. And
Okay.
also storage is peanuts in any environment, right? Be it Azure or on-premise or AWS. Storage is always peanuts. Okay. If you are spending $1 for your virtual machine, for your storage, you might be spending 0.0005 cents or whatever it is. So don't worry about the storage anywhere.
Okay. So what about the cleanup? I mean, like, will Azure will automatically taken care? Like, do we can we set any, like, okay, after 30 days we can remove those
See,
artifacts? Or
these are your reusable components, right? Let us say if it is a build definition or release definition, that is a just metadata. You might not be
right,
using it in future. So there you can
right.
go and put your retention policies. Hey, delete all the build definition prior to 6 months. Delete all the build definition, last 30 definitions, etc. But that is a
Okay.
metadata. You don't lose anything. All,
Okay.
you will not even reuse them as well, all definitions. But the Azure artifacts, right? It's your custom code. This is a reusable component, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that's the reason. This is up to you. Uh, how many days you want to retain that one? If you don't want to retain that one, you simply delete that feed. So it will go to the recycling bin. Okay. So where is that? So we are in a different organization. Let's go to Hasura ITC. Because when you create a reusable component, you don't have any control on the other teams, right? How many days they should use their reusable component. Reusable means they are using for some production purposes. If you keep some retention policy, their applications will fail. So as a standard, that's not the right. Okay. Now you have this one, right? So if you don't want, you can go and delete even the entire feed as well. Okay. You have all those options. So and it will maintain your versions as well. And unlist means it will not be available to your what is the end users. You can do all this stuff yourself. At least I
Okay.
don't see any such kind of requirement for the, let us say, even if you go to the Nugget as well, or even go to
Mm-hmm.
the GitHub, right? There won't be any retention policies. So
Okay.
even if you are using GitHub, what they do, if you are inactive for a year or 2 years, right, they may send you some notification. Hey, you've been inactive for 1 year. Do you want to
Okay.
still? Do you want us to still retain your data? But they don't uh, delete without your consent.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
that's your proprietary information, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so here also, of course, still it looks like you have a not exactly like that, but you have something like this. Enable package retention, delete old packages, and by configure retention package will be view will not be deleted. Up to some, it looks like up to some extension, you have some policy here. Maximum
Okay.
number of versions per package, days to keep downloaded packages, etc. And I guess this is
Okay.
related to your upstream packages. Maybe you are using some NuGet in your own, etc. Okay, but my suggestion is do not use these things. But that's why I never give attention to this one, because whenever we create any reusable component, there might be someone who is using it for lifetime as well, because it's a reusable component.
Hello,
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Purna.
Yes.
So we were talking about this Redgate SQL automation tool, no? So once our free trial period is over, can we download it again? Just so we are in the
I
IV one. Is it
I
possible
don't
for us?
I don't think, Manoj, because all these are all paid sources, right? I think their installation will be tied to their MAC address. I don't think you will uninstall and install.
Because in Azure, if you want to create a free trial account of Azure, we can give a new credit card credentials.
No, that is different. That is different. That is tied with your credit card and your email ID. Okay, but your software installation is tied to your server configuration.
So there is no way of getting back again. That one.
See, as per my experience, it's not only with Redgate, it is with any software.
Okay.
So generally, what I do, that is the case. What I do, I generally create some virtual machine and start showing that. Let us say my free trial is expired. Okay, if I don't purchase, what I do, I basically for that session, I basically create some virtual machine and install Visual Studio there and do it, rather than wasting my time and creating removing registries and spoiling my machine.
Okay.
These are all matured products. You can't simply bypass their policies. Okay.
And one more thing, we have to discuss one PyCharm application deployment and Java application.
Java. I'm going to show you the Java. Okay, so that's what I'm going to extend this one. I'm not going to show Python because I don't have much exposure to Python. I have some exposure to Java. I will show the Java. So I'm just going to continue this if you have time.
And how many sections are left with us?
Only tomorrow, one more session. We are done with all. So
we have log concepts, log analysis.
So log analysis, it's only the tool that you need to. This is not, as I told you, DevOps, end-to-end DevOps means your requirements management, and then your CI/CD, and then your log management and monitoring, right? So if you remember our classes, you need to ensure that your log management tools are configured for the servers because you deployed the applications. So that's what in the tomorrow session I will be explaining these best practices. I told you that one. So there are some best practices that I need to explain to you guys. That's the reason I said tomorrow we will discuss that one.
Whether we have any application monitoring like Kibana in the course content. So
it only we talk about these concepts, right? So these are the concepts. Let us say your application is deployed to your Azure cloud machines, virtual machines. Then you will be using the monitoring tools from the Azure cloud, like Azure application insights. Okay. So as a DevOps engineer, you will not be going to configure it because that is comes under Azure cloud administrator. But what you are ensuring, you need to explain the people, whoever is managing the cloud. Hey, these are the servers. This is where my applications are installed, and you will talk about you will instruct them about some monitoring principles. Okay, that I will be covering tomorrow.
One more last doubt, that is so will you got this DevSecOps at least introduction?
Guys, I am that's what I said. I'm going to have some session tomorrow that is explicitly on the best practices. DevSecOps is not a different thing. It's a DevOps. See, people give any name. Nowadays, people are coming with Dev Test Sec Ops. You know that? DevSecOps is another. See, it's just extension to your DevOps, but it's not an even extension. It is just a junk term created by the people. So, including security part of your development is nothing but your DevSecOps, nothing other than that. So, I'll be talking about two. So there are some concepts which have to be explained to you, like blue-green deployments, etc. That will be done tomorrow. Okay. So the other one that I talked about it for today is connecting to, let us say, so far we are using source code from our Azure repos to create our build and release pipelines, right? But and we also used Azure Container Registry for the images as well. So the other one you have is other concept is the people might be keeping their might be using GitHub or Bitbucket for their source control management, but they want to use Azure DevOps for the build and deployments. So that is another scenario that you will have. Okay, so that I'll be showing now. So guys, do you have some time? I will take another 10 minutes because I don't need to explain the build pipeline. You already know it, but I will show you how to connect to the external repositories. So what I do, I'll go and create a new DevOps project, okay, for this demonstration. So I'll say demo Java Scrum. Okay, so now I'm not going to keep any code in my repos because as I told you, for this particular requirement, my code is in GitHub. Okay, or it can be in the Bitbucket, but Bitbucket again need to install. So I'm using GitHub. So you need to have a GitHub account. So let's go to github.com. So I already have an account in the GitHub. You can go ahead and create your GitHub account. Okay, and I have some code. Actually, I don't know Java, so but you know the GitHub contains millions of sample projects in the GitHub. It is just like a Wikipedia, right? So what I did, I went ahead and selected one of the public Spring Boot projects that is available in the GitHub, and I just forked it. Fork means I can go and start using that project. So I already forked it. So in my GitHub account, I have three repositories available. That is GS Spring Boot, Java Helps Java, and Java. These are the projects from different people, but I am using it for my demonstration purpose. So of course, if you have your own code, .NET code or Java code, you can push your code to your this GitHub in the same way how you post it to the Azure. Okay. Now I created a new Java project, right? Let's go and create a pipeline, build pipeline, create a new pipeline. So use the classic editor. So far, we are using the Azure Repos Git as a source. Okay, now I go ahead and use GitHub as a source. Okay, and you can give some name. You can give any name. Now I need to, so GitHub is a separate vendor, right? It is a separate website. So I need to give I need to authorize my uh, Azure DevOps application to connect with the GitHub to get the source code. So that's the reason you need to authorize. Click on authorize using auth. So since I already logged in here, it did not ask me user ID password, but if you want to change it, you can create a new service connection. So let us say GitHub service, authorize using. So you can create and you will give the user ID password, the connection will be created. Now if you expand this repository browse button, I have three repositories in my GitHub, right? If I go to GitHub, so I have all those three repositories now available here. I'm going to select the repository Java GS Spring Boot and select. And what is the branch? I'll continue with the master branch that is available in that location. And this is a Java project. So far, we are using ASP.NET template or .NET Desktop template for the class library. And this is a Java project that is based on the Maven. So if you are new to Java, Java basically for .NET we use MS Build as a compiler. For Java, people use Maven and some other things as also as a build utility. So The selected project from the GitHub is Maven based, so I selected Maven template. Now, so it's a Java, right? By default, it will select Linux version. So Ubuntu 16.04 is the Ubuntu Linux version. Okay, and this is the one what we selected from the GitHub repository, and maven.com XML. You just need to give the, so in .NET basically it was a .cs project or .sln as a root project, as a root file. Here it is a POM file in Java. You need to get these data from the developers, because as a DevOps engineer you are not expected to know each and every language. So there will be a form file here. So I'll go to the app. Once I expand app, there is a form file. I'll select this, and then I will just leave the other things, this because I'm not running any code analysis or anything. This is the important thing, like the .cs project .sln. You need to select this form file. Go on save. So this is to demonstrate connecting to external SCM, and this is a Java project. So it takes some time to build it. Just give it a couple of minutes, a minute or two, it will be complete. Basically, if it is a .NET, it download all these dependencies from the NuGet.org. Since it is a Maven, Java, it takes from the Maven. I don't know what is there in the project. I just want to demonstrate some Java, so I selected it. So let it download whatever. This is a API project, Spring Boot. So Spring Boot is similar to MVC in .NET. So this is a API project. So in Java, API projects are like jar files, and web applications are WAR files. There are some concepts there in Java platform. So this basically generates a jar file at the end of this compilation. Okay, the build is completed. So the next thing is uh, deploying this to. So I'm not going to deploy this to a virtual machine. So I'm going to deploy this to a PaaS service. We created a PaaS service, right? In Azure Cloud, we can deploy this app to the PaaS service. So when you are working with a cloud related application, right? Some applications may run from the PaaS service. Some applications may run from the virtual machine. We will have all these different scenarios. So we covered already those scenarios. Now we will cover the PaaS service. So this covers connecting to your external SCM and deploying to your PaaS service. And we already seen Docker deployment and our the mostly used and traditional way of deployment to the virtual machine or the physical. Okay. So the next thing will be creating a release. So this is a Java, right? So let me go ahead and search for Java. So I say deploy a Java app to Azure App Service. This is a template that I'll take. Now let me close this one. So it contains a couple of things. Deploy what to Azure App Service, deploy a jar to Azure App Service. Mine is a, API, so I disable the first one and I enable the second option, deploy jar to app service, and go to the pipeline now. And you need to have the artifacts, right? Of course, this is a standard one, and the artifacts demo Java, and then this is the pipeline name, and is the latest version. So when we are using Azure Kubernetes, we authorize the build pipeline to connect to the Kubernetes service, right? In the same way, we need to authorize here as well. So stage, let's go here. The Azure subscription, let's go and so free trial we are using, and now it will say authorize. Okay. Guys, I guess it's already 9:30 for me. Even I need to rush for the office. Guys, I need to spend another 10 minutes on this pipeline to complete the configuration. Okay. I will do it tomorrow morning, and then I will continue on the some best practices about blue green deployments, and then about DevSecOps concepts, and then log management and monitoring areas. These are all the concepts that I need to tell you, and you need to tell because monitoring is being managed by monitoring teams, and log management is related to the combination of developers and as well as infra administrator. Okay, and DevSecOps is the responsibility of all the teams in the application development or the product development. So I will be explaining these concepts tomorrow, okay, along with this one. For today, I'll just stop this because I need to leave. So I'll just save this pipeline. I will continue the configuration tomorrow. It's not yet completed. Okay, I will continue this one tomorrow morning. Okay. Okay, guys, we'll catch up tomorrow again. So please don't miss the session tomorrow. Let me delete my Kubernetes as well. Okay, then have a good day and see you tomorrow.